All right, good evening. I am going to do this homework problems on 8.1. I'll see how this works out for you, Ashley. And I'm going to begin with problem number 5, and I hope yours match up the same. If they don't, then let me know and I'll do the examples, kind of condense things down. A lot of these problems are repetitive, but let's see how you do with them and if you understand what I'm doing. So this has to do, this first problem here, number 5, is find the slope of and a point on the line described by this equation. So if we want to find the slope, what I'm thinking what we want to do here is, if we want to find the slope, we want to put this equation into the y equals mx plus b form. This is called the slope-intercept form. And after I rearrange this to be in this form, slope-intercept form, the m is going to be the slope. And then we will have found the slope. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to rearrange this. So this is going to be y plus 2 equals this. I'll clear the parentheses here. So I'm going to have 5x minus 15 using the distributive property, right? And then I'm going to subtract 2 here. And when I do that, I end up with y equals 5x minus 17. So therefore, the slope is 5. This is the m, the coefficient of the x. So I have a slope of 5, m equals 5. And then it says we've got to find the slope of and a point on the line described by this equation. So I can just substitute a value for x and get the resulting y in this case here. And that's a point on the line, right? On the line described. So that means if y equals 5x minus 17, I can take any value for x if I want. If I put a t-chart here, right? And if I say x is 0, what is y? So if x is 0, I have y equals 5 times 0 minus 17. And we know 5 times 0 is 0, so I would end up that y equals negative 17. So when x equals 0, y equals negative 17. And that's the point on the line that's described by this equation. All right, I just plug in a value for x, any number I want, but make it simple by making it 0. So when x is 0, y is negative 17 is the point. And there are infinitely many, remember. And the slope here is 5. Done with number 5. All right, for number 3, it says write an equation of each line with the given slope and containing the given point. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, so they're telling us that the slope is negative 2, but it's going through this point. So what I need to solve this is the point-slope form of the equation. Point-slope form. Okay, if I have the point-slope form, what is that? And it is y minus y1 equals the slope of m times x minus x1. And again, we're using that because they're giving us the slope and a point. And that's why it's called the point-slope form. So I'm going to substitute all these values into this equation. All right, and here's how it goes. Y minus y1 is the y value in the point, which is this negative 3. Y minus negative 3 equals m is the slope. Remember, I'm going to start using m as the indicator of the slope. So the slope is negative 2 times x minus x1, which is 1. Okay? So let's see, as I'm going to solve for y now, this is going to be y plus 3. That equals, distributive property here is negative 2x plus 2 and then I'm going to subtract 3. Okay, if I subtract 3, I'm going to have y equals negative 2x minus 1. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. This is slope-intercept form here. So it looks like I'm done. This is the equation of slope negative 2 through 1, negative 3. Okay, and that's how you do those. Do we have another? I have another one coming up with number 7. Okay, here's the criteria. The slope is negative 9 over 10, and it's going through the point negative 3, 0. So again, I need the point, here's the point slope formula. Point slope formula. Okay, which is y minus 0. That equals m, which is negative 9 over 10, times x minus negative 3. All right, let's clean this up a little bit. This is going to be y equals negative 9 over 10 times x plus 3. And now I'm going to do the distributive property, which will give me y equals negative 9 over 10x. Negative 9 over 10 times x is negative 9 over 10x. And now that's going to be negative, because a negative times a positive is a negative. 9 times 3 is 27. So I could say negative 9 times 3 is negative 27 over 10. Okay, I hope you're okay with that. And this is our, this is it. This is our done. We're done. Nothing else to do. So I want to make sure I got that right on the direction. Write the equation in slope-intercept form. So we've done that. And that's slope-intercept form. Okay. Look at this. Can I simplify that at all? 5 or 2, does that go into 27? Doesn't look like it, so it looks like I'm done. All right, good. All right, write an equation of the line passing through these given points, 2 points. Write the equation in standard form. All right, when we have a problem like this where we have to write the equation, we are given 2 points, but minimally to write an equation, I need a slope, m, and 1 point, p, a point p, in the form xy. All right, so I've got to figure out how can I get the get the slope given 2 points, where I can use the slope formula. So this gets a little confusing because I need these formulas to figure out what the slope is. Then I'm going to need the point slope formula to figure out what the equation is. All right, so first I want to figure out what is the slope, or m. All right, so I need the slope formula, which is the y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. That gives me what my slope is. All right, so let's do that. y2 is negative 3 minus y1, which is negative 4, divided by x2, which is negative 4, minus x1, which is negative 2. All right, so this ends up equaling negative 3 plus 4 is 1, and negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. So my slope is negative 1 over 2. And I like to use the negative with the numerator, negative 1 over 2. Okay? So now that I know that the slope is negative 1 over 2, or negative 1/2, I'm going to use one of these 2 points, and it does not matter which one. So for my point here, I'm going to use the first one, negative 2, negative 4. And it does not matter which one I use. Whichever one looks easier, but they look the same to me because they both have negatives. All right, so now I need the point slope formula, and remember that is y minus y1, that equals the slope m times x minus x1. Okay, and let's fill that in. How about it? I'm going to have y minus negative 4, that equals negative 1 over 2, that's my slope, m, times x minus negative 2. All right, let's clean this up a little bit by making this y plus 4, that will equal negative 1 over 2 times x plus 2. I'm just getting these double negatives out of there and kind of cleaning this up. I like what I see here, so now I'm going to solve for y. If I solve for y, it's going to look like, let's see, how about y plus 4, that equals, now I'm going to do the distributive property here, and I'm going to have negative 1 over 2x, that's what this multiplication is, and then negative 1/2 times 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 over 2 times 2 is negative 1. How about now I subtract 4 from both sides, and I got y equals negative 1 over 2x minus 5. Okay, and this problem now, a little bit different. I don't know how your teacher is about this, but they want you to write the answer in standard form. All right, so I have to rearrange this equation, slope-intercept form, into standard form. So remember, in ax plus by equals c, a, b, and c are integers, meaning like whole numbers. So I can't have that 1/2. I got to get rid of it. So how do we get rid of fractions? We clear the problem of fractions by multiplying everything by the LCD. All right, so this is relatively easy because I'm just going to multiply everything by 2. 2, 2, and 2. And when I do, I get 2y equals, what is that, negative x minus 10. And now how do I get this into the ax plus by equals c form? All I have to do is add x to both sides. And when I do, I end up with x plus 2y equals negative 10. And now it's in standard form, the way the problem asks me to put it in. Okay, that is whatever number that was, number 13. Okay, next is a similar problem on number 15. Same direction. I have to find the equation of this line and put it in standard form. Okay, and of course I need the slope first, and then I can use one of these 2 points because they're giving me 2 points. That's what I know that I need. is the slope. Then I could use either one of these points. All right, let's find the slope. So it's going to be negative 9 minus negative 8 minus negative 8 over negative 6 minus negative 3. Okay, so I got negative 9 plus 8, which is negative 1, over negative 6 plus 3, which is negative 3, which equals 1 over 3. So my slope is 1 over 3. And I'm going to use either one of these points, and it looks like I guess I'll use this one here for no reason. I'm just picking out one of them. All right, so now I've got a point. Here's my point here, and I got the slope here. And now I can use my point slope form, which is y minus negative 9. I'll write it out for you here like this. Y minus negative 9 equals the slope of 1/3 times x minus negative 6. All right, let's go ahead and simplify this. And we're going to simplify this now as y plus 9 equals 1 over 3 times x plus 6. Okay, I'm just simplifying this a little bit, getting rid of these double negatives here so I understand and stay on top of this, what's going on. All right, so let's clean this up. So I've got y plus 9 equals 1/3 times x is 1 over 3 x plus 1/3 times 6 is 6 over 3, which simplifies to be 2. So I'll just do it like this and make that a 2. Okay. How about if I subtract 9 now? Subtract 9 from both sides. And I've got y equals 1 over 3 x. 2 minus 9 is negative 7. Okay. I'll scroll down a little bit, because remember I have to write this now in standard form. And how do I do that? I've got a fraction here, so I got to clear the problem of fractions by multiplying everything by 3. And this simplifies now to be 3y, that equals x minus 21. If I subtract x on both sides now, looks like my solution is going to be negative x plus 3y, that equals negative 21. And that's my solution here in standard form. Okay, next, I'm not going to do 17 because I doubt if they'll give you that on your homework or on your exam or quiz. I hope not anyway. I truly hope you don't get that on your quiz. Okay, on to number 21. Okay, next is to, this objective B is to write an equation of each line. So again, that's what this whole section is about, to write an equation of these lines, given these circumstances here. So when you get problems like this, well, one or two ways of going about doing this, but I think it's easier, I think it's easier if I look at this as visually. Like if I have a graph here and thinking about what they're telling us. Okay, if I've got this point that a line is going through this point, negative 3, 1, I want to plot that. Where is negative 3, 1? So negative 3, 1 maybe over here to the left 3 and then up 1. So we know this is negative 3, 1. Negative 3. And I know it's maybe 1 here. Okay? And, well, if it's a horizontal line going through this point, which way is horizontal? Horizontal is this way. Right? A horizontal line going through this point. And now the question is, what's the equation of this line? Well, it's a horizontal line, so we should know that it's going to be y equals, and where is it cutting the y-axis? Where is it? What point is it going through? And it's going through this point here, the y and the given point. So my equation would be y equals 1. Okay, let's look at number 23. Number 23 is saying an undefined slope. Undefined slope. And it's traveling through, this undefined slope is traveling through 0, 5. So here's a generic graph of this. And we're 0, 5. 0, 5 would be here, 0, and then I'm going to go up 5. And an undefined slope. What does undefined mean? What kind of a slope it was? Well, the horizontal slope, the slope of a horizontal line is 0, where m equals 0. But an undefined slope, it is a vertical line. And it's going through this point here at 0, 5, a vertical line. So what's the equation of this vertical line? A vertical line is going through the x-axis. Here's the x-axis, we know that. So the equation is x equals 0. And here's my x value for the 0, which is 0. All right, so this would be the equation of that line. Undefined slope passing through 0, 5. This is 0, 5. And if it's undefined slope, that means it's a vertical line. Whoop. Okay, here's number 25, where we have to write the equation of this line, write the equation in the form x equals a, y equals b, or y equals mx plus b. That's the form of the equation we have to write it in. So we're really basically looking for y equals mx plus b. And that's good, because the m is the slope. Okay? And if you recall, if I've got the line that's going through 3, 8, that's the point, 3, 8, and it's parallel to y equals 4x minus 2. As we recall, slopes that are parallel mean that the slopes are the same. Or slopes that have the same, or lines that have the same slope are parallel lines. I'm having a hard time getting that out. Okay? So now we can use the point slope form because we know what the point is, 3, 8, and then we also know what the slope is. What's the slope? That's parallel to this equation. Well, the slope is going to be the same number, which is 4, traveling through 3, 8. So now I can write the equation of this line as y minus 8 equals 4, the slope, times x minus 3. Okay, and now we're just going to solve for y. So here I've got y minus 8 equals 4 times x, which is 4x minus 12. Now I'll add 8 to both sides. And I have y equals 4x minus 4. And this is the solution. This is what I'm looking for. It's in slope-intercept form, and that's what they're asking for. Okay, here we have a tough problem whenever we're dealing with perpendicular. All right, so I've got a line that is going through 2, -5, perpendicular to this 3y equals x minus 6. So what I have to do is find out the slope that I need. I know I've got the point here, but now I got to figure out what m is. All right, this is deep thinking here. So the first thing I want to do is arrange this equation, this given equation, into the slope-intercept form. This y equals mx plus b. And I want to look at what m is after I arrange this. So looking at this, it looks like to get y by itself, I have to divide everything by 3. Okay, so when I do that, I end up with y equals, well, I could write this as 1 over 3x minus 2. And now I see the slope of this line is 1 over 3. But I have to write the equation that is perpendicular to this 1 over 3. So in order to figure out what is the perpendicular line to 1 over 3, I've got to take that 1 over 3 and multiply it by its reciprocal, which is 3 over 1, and then one of these has to be negative. Well, the 1/3 that we're given from this equation is positive, so that means this 3 over 1 has to be negative. Because remember the rule, the products, for two lines to be perpendicular, the product of the slopes of the two lines has to equal -1. So here's the slope of this line, we rearrange to be 1/3, and the slope of the perpendicular line is the reciprocal of this, and we attach the negative to it, so when I multiply it, it ends up being -3 over 3, which is -1. This is something we'll just know forthcoming ahead of time. Just take the reciprocal and make sure one of those numbers are negative. All right, so the reciprocal, the perpendicular slope that we're looking for is this here, -3. Okay, so that gives me my slope of -3. Now I have the point here and the slope here. And I'll use the point-slope formula to determine the equation of the line. How about y minus -5, that equals -3, the slope, times x minus 2. Okay, now don't forget where we're getting these numbers. This 2 came from the x value here. This -5 came from this y value here, or this y value is this -5. I'm subtracting a negative number, and the slope is -3, of course. So I'm going to solve for this now. So I got y plus 5, that equals distributive property here, -3x, and -3 times -2 is +6. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. And the equation I'm looking for is y equals -3x plus 1 in slope-intercept form. That's what we're doing. I'm going to do one more, which is number 33, saying it's through what? Through -1, -5, and it's saying that it's perpendicular to x equals 3. Okay. So again, I'm going to draw a picture of this to see what's happening here. Here's a graph, and a point that is going through -1, -5. So -1, -5 may be down here somewhere. You don't have to be exact for this. And if it's perpendicular to x equals 3, then I know that x equals 3 is where? Here's my, this is x and this is y, just so we don't forget. So here's 3. Here's x equals 3. And if it's perpendicular to x equals 3, then x equals 3 is going this way. Okay? And the equation of the line going through -1, -5, perpendicular to x equals 3. So that means this line here is going this way. I'll make it a dashed line. Okay. So now the question is, what is this line called? How do we graph that? What's the equation of this line? Well, remember, we went, where did we go? Here's the y-axis here. I went down, or I went to the left 1 and then down 5. Left 1, down 5. So this is -1, -5. So this line is horizontal. A horizontal line always has the beginning of y equals, and what point here is it going through? Okay, it would be the y component in our problem, really, -5. So the equation of this line is y equals -5. It's perpendicular to x equals 3, this vertical line, and if it's perpendicular, that means it intersects it and forms that 90-degree angle, and so therefore you'll end up with y equals -5. Pretty tough problem. You just got to work it out in your mind and draw a nice picture of what's going on. Okay, and that's it. I hope this works out for you, and you let me know. All right, take care.